come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
Done.
You're muted.
Gentlemen,
Welcome,
to the Village
welcome,
Radio
everyone.
Talk Show. All right. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You need to
All right,
bring
you
it
get
up,
us
bring
started.
your
Let me
volume
go.
up.
I'm going to get our boy in before he beats me up. I'll do
Okay.
that.
Well, bring your volume up. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to the Village this evening. I hope your Thursday is going great. I hope this week has been one that is filled with excitement, with joy, and peace, and most important, health. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have some great folks coming on. Some great folks coming on tonight, and we look forward to having you participate and collaborate and give us some feedback and some things that's on your mind. So thank you all. Let's see. So please, if you have anything, please reach out. You can put some of your information in the chat. You could put it on Facebook. You could join us, of course, on YouTube. And that's that. My partners are finally coming in. Hello, Mr. Daly.
Yeah, hey, Don. So,
We're doing great.
yeah,
We're doing great.
bad boy is right here threatening me. You know, this little El Dorado punk right here. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining, sharing, viewing the Village. Right here on 92.1 FM GD radio, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Just join us and enjoy your time with us.
It'd be nice if I had headphones.
Right. Once you get a headphones right there.
Once you pass it to me.
Roderick, you
Yes,
need to
John.
bring back up the camera because it was
Dr.
wait.
Bryant.
Hello,
And,
Mr. Sampson.
all right. So, also just let you know that we're brought to you by the World Domino Federation, having the first inaugural tournament March 17th through the 19th. Brought to you by the Single Parent University, and brought to you by our the arts program, helping out young people. If you have young persons who want to present art, please make sure you bring that out. That's going to be March. Actually, this weekend, right? This weekend at Mile 11, right? This Saturday, hopefully I'm able to make it. I have a lot of things to do on Saturday, but I'm gonna try to.
You ain't got nothing to do, man.
John, you and I have something to do too.
What do I have to do?
We have the funeral of
Sam Palmer tomorrow. What time?
It's tomorrow evening.
What time?
And, I think normal time at Guarino's.
What
I
time?
have to double check it. 4 to 6 is.
Oh, I gotta get, I'll be there first. Yeah. that's
Yeah,
something I
and
gotta
then
do. Yeah.
we have the burial on Saturday morning. So I'm gonna see which one of them I could squeeze in, if not both.
Yeah.
And
You need
also
to bring up your mic a little bit more.
brought to you by the Grace Family Adult Social Daycare that will be happening right here at 1330 Utica Avenue. That you could come out, bring your adults, have participate in the game. So again, we are the 1,000 person march to increasing our YouTube. We're a long way to go. So please ask a friend, bring a next friend on board. Um, and everything else. So 1,000 person log into the Village Radio Talk Show. Our scripture for today, and I'm going to ask Dr. Bryant to read the scripture for today.
Our Father who art in heaven.
No, that's not the scripture. No, that's not. That's a great scripture, but that's not the scripture today. The scripture of the day is Isaiah 40, verse 28 through 31. You got that up, Doc? Actually, we haven't seen Sophia in a while. I wonder if Sophia, you want to come on screen and do that? Let me see if she wants to do it first before we do anything else. When you were like, when you're in church and all of a sudden the pastor says, "Hey," oh, actually, Sophia said hello, but I don't see her on screen.
That means she don't want to.
No, I mean I don't see her.
She's not
in
on.
in the background. So go ahead, Dr. Bryant.
So repeat that. Isaiah 40, verse what?
It's in the notes. Isaiah 40.
I didn't see it.
It's there, right below opening. Oh,
Just-
and while she's looking up, just remember that the Village Radio Talk Show is
Isaiah
dedicated
40.
to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education. And we will be talking about all of those things today. So make sure you tune in for everything. Bring a friend, talk to a friend. We'll be talking about health, safety, financial, life, all of that stuff, politics, education. That covers through education. Helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, any point, starting from today. Success, John, is not just spoken, it is done. What are you doing to be successful? You ready, Dr. Bryant?
All right, I'm reading my version, okay?
You understand? Do not read your version. Please read the right version.
Listen. You asked
read the right version.
I'm gonna read it, my version. All right.
No, please don't do that. Because I'm
No,
telling
no,
you.
no.
Okay, wait. Okay, I'm not gonna object to you reading your version, but at least tell us what version you read, because most people don't read your version.
Living Translation. Stop assuming that most people don't read my version.
I would like, there are a number of people on this audience, and I want to know how many of these members actually read that version.
Listen.
You're like, how are you a teacher, man? I love you too.
All right.
Let's
Anyway, moving right along.
Yes.
Have you never heard? Have you never understood? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth. He never grows weak or weary. No one can measure the depth of his understanding. He gives power to the weak and strength to the powerless. Even youth will become weak and tired, and young men will fall in exhaustion. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength, and they will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right.
See, nothing wrong with my version. Listen. I love that, because the thing is, we do have to trust in God, and all that's going on right now. We do really must put our faith and trust in God. With our health, with our
Let me
protection.
interrupt you on that.
Go ahead.
You say all that's going on. What do you mean by all that's going on?
Every day you turn on the news, or every day you walk out, you hear different things. So taking life for granted is something that many of us do. So all that's transpiring on a daily basis. Every day you're hearing somebody's dying or getting sick or going to the hospital or getting shot or robbed or something like that, or accidents. But God has kept us throughout all that. In spite of everything, he's still good. In spite of our ups and downs, he is still good, and he will continue to hold us on. Yes.
Just to jump in on that, something that caught my eye besides other events. One situation here in New York where two brothers were stabbed. One died, and one is in critical but stable condition. That happened up in the Bronx at a fish market. And then the in Florida, situation in Florida with the young newscaster and the
Mm-hmm.
9-year-old girl and her mother that were killed by this individual who had the audacity to commit a homicide earlier that day and then
Yes.
come back to where they were reporting and to commit three other homicides. It's just, and this young man is only 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
John. It's I'm glad. I'm glad about our two guests today. Right. One is Lizette Caesar, Dr. Lizette Caesar, Dr. Liz, who is a principal, and is surviving cancer. Right. And that's actually my new terminology now. I don't say survive cancer, but it's surviving cancer because it can always come back or whatever the case is, right? And Jerry Katsy, who is the director of youth baseball. And we have him on each year for the last couple of years to talk about the incorporation of youth in our society. And I'm glad that we're talking about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at it, you have this kid here is 19. The Buffalo kid was what, 22. We have I think a couple others, 24, 17, the 6-year-old that committed the crime, the Parkland shooting a couple of years ago, the Columbus. When you start adding these numbers up, these young people have no regards for life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was watching also the news where they remind us that major crimes happen between the ages of 14 and 25.
Mhm.
That is the age where youth have to be developed in terms of being active in things. And we're gonna have to that reminds me, John, that we need to reach out to Naftali, see if he could come on with the summer youth, because that's coming up
Mhm.
as well. And so, Dr. Bryant and Dr. Sampson, we kind of have to make sure that, we start engaging more, more the youth. Because this is crazy.
Yeah, I know. How much more engaging are we going to be with the youth? There's a lot of things that we have put in place to assist the youth. Um, but it's perplexing. Meaning we put resources here, we put resources there. We try to get more parental involvement, community involvement. But how do we stem the tide of people who just have no? It's is it what they grew up with, their ideology, their thought process, to have no respect for human life, to be able to, is that is there that much hatred in them that they don't think about other human beings, that they're willing to just do away with someone just to engage in a criminal activity, or for sometimes these crimes are just so senseless.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Senseless. If you're going to rob, just take what you can. There's no need to shoot and kill a person. And what is it that you feel that you have such an authority to end someone's life?
Yep.
You know, as I'm doing more and more studies, right? Studying a lot, John. I thought I finished school a long time ago, but I'm studying a lot. And
That
one of the things I keep talking about is like, I hear people exonerating themselves from the responsibility of the incompetence of young people. It's the school system, it's the parents, it's society, it's the system, it's the pipeline to prison,
Hmm.
it's the this, it's the that. To hell with it, everybody's blaming everybody else. And I'm going to continue to talk about while I'm studying. And it's a pie, John. It's a pie. And you look at the pie, like in many things in society, it's a pie.
Right.
Mhm.
And the parents are to blame. The television is to blame. Social media is to blame.
Mhm.
Um, their friends, lack of experience.
Mhm.
Parents who are telling kids that you're my best friend, you need to be my friend. Hell no. Kids who are saying, I want this because the media says that. The school system who are under teaching our kids, or the school system that says, I want the arts and music in our schools, but they're not funding it,
Right.
right? It's about the gang leaders, the police officers who turn their blind eyes to crime and are committing some of those crimes and making this situation worse for our young people.
Right.
It's all, and the pie continues. And
Mhm.
when you add this all up, you get a whole pie. And then what you get from the whole pie is a bunch of degenerate young people who have no regards for the importance of life. No, it's not just rap music. No, it's not just a neglectful parent or a single parent or a married parent or a neglectful parent. Whatever, anything. It's not just a bad school system. Because you know why? The school, John, is a building. It's the people in the school that makes the school bad. Because I could live in a dump and have a nice house, or I could live in the dump and have my house like a dump. So, you know, again, and I remind I love to hear this. Dr. Sam and Dr. Brian is. I love to hear this comment. Oh, like when I used to be an AP in one of our local high schools, right? Oh, that school is so bad. These kids in this building are so bad. I'm like, you're in this building. You're a student. Though you're a small percentage, because there are about 1,700 students in there, though you're a very small percentage of the people who are in the building, you're still a member of the building. And you're causing some of those issues as well.
Yeah. Before you continue, I just want to make sure that I read some of the comments. Thank you so much for everyone who is commenting out there. Greetings, Empress. Carla, thank you for joining us. Jalen, thank you for joining us. And Dan, thank you for joining us. Carla states that um, it's about focus. If we remember He is there, we must hold on as we go through, knowing we will come out. Amen. Jalen, where is he? Wrote, we should be proud that Jesus did the cross, died on the cross for us. He did it so that we can all live, so that way we don't have to worry because He's always on our side. Jesus will always be with us, and we should be lucky that He went on that cross for us for His birthday. We should be celebrating. We should be praying. I think you're gonna be a little pastor, Jalen.
Right?
Uh,
Call it on the soul.
John O's story: as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. The value come up from the root. Thank you all for sharing, putting information in the chat, and joining us this evening. Let me tell you, we only have 6 minutes before our guests come up. There's so much
Let's do
going
six
on.
minutes. 6 minutes, Dr. Brian, you're on.
So, actually, before we came on, I was looking at the news, and there was a couple of disturbing things that I noticed. First, I noticed that they were speaking about the possible war of China and the United States. In addition to that, they were stating that the United States is sending so much military equipment and things to Ukraine that they don't have enough military supplies to actually go to war themselves if something was transpired between China and the United States, or China and just overall they do not have enough supplies. So that's a little alarming. And that comes back to, do we send out all that we have in order to help who we decide to help? Not because we don't help everybody, but if we do, good evening, Miss Cambridge, Sherry Ann. If we do go to war, will we be safe and will we be prepared because we're shipping everything out to Ukraine?
Make no bones about it. The United States has the number one military in the world.
They
We will,
admitted this
we,
evening that they don't have enough supply, even for the war game that they had with China.
put
They
it
didn't
this
have
way.
enough.
Even
They
if
can tell you
we
whatever they want, right?
exactly, no, that's one thing they can tell us, but definitely we we can prepare what we don't have. We can manufacture and create in lightning speed.
It takes a year. They were mentioning a year.
That's what they say. But as everybody, best example was how long did they tell us it would take to put a vaccine together for COVID? You know, I give it to former President Trump. You know, warp speed, a vaccine was put together. So, irrespective of what they say, if it's game time, we will be prepared. But I think most of all, you know, I don't think Russia, United States, China, we have too much to lose. No one's ready. Everyone knows that we can annihilate one another if we choose to. But they're not ready for that. They're not ready. China's not ready for that. U.S. is not ready for that, and Russia is not ready for that.
So I was watching the news with the president of Poland.
Mm-hmm.
The impact of the United States in war, in the protection out of the free world.
Right.
I was watching former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and on one excerpt, and I was watching the current president of Poland, and they both spoke about the impact of the United States on this war and what that would look like, that they would change the angle of the war. Boris Johnson said, to hell with it. The United States needs to supply Ukraine as he would want England to supply Ukraine with weapons to shut Russia down.
Right.
Poland said, United States, make no bones, no qualms about it, but the United States of America is the protector of the free world. So the impact of the United States is real, right? So you're right, John, right? You're right. United States can do what they have to do because people around the world is watching what they're doing. They're watching.
And everyone knows that if you go to war with the United States, that's why you need to have these allies throughout the world. This is why you have all these allies throughout the United States. Has created all these allies throughout the world because they know, you know, in order to win, to be successful in any sort of warfare, you need partners, you need allies. And take for example, Russia thought they would go into Ukraine and just take it over. Tomorrow it will be a year since the invasion. You know, they stood up to Russia, they pushed back. And you don't think the United States and the rest of the world are learning things from what is transpiring over there in that war between Russia and Ukraine?
Well, China's paying attention.
So the world is paying attention. Trust me in this one. You know, before we.
But also, what's interesting, to just jump in, China's paying attention, but China has a lot of money invested in the United States.
Yep, and around the world.
A lot of America.
They have a lot of money invested not just in the United States, but a lot of American allies around the world. Right? So even in the Caribbean, Jamaica, for example.
Guyana.
Guyana, Jamaica. I don't know about Cuba, because Cuba might not side with the United States in war, but the rest of the Caribbean, they can lose a lot. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us right here on the Village Radio Talk Show. We're brought to you by the Single Parent University, where they have open admissions, course curriculum, personal development, mindful parenting, support seminar, financial management, and nutrition and wellness. If you need a social support hub, if you need free transportation, if you need childcare, help with resume and cover letter writing, career exploration, please do contact the Single Parent University at 646-779-6767. That's 646-779-6767 or SBU to 71441. Thank you. All right. Our first guest is on Dr.
Liz.
Right? Dr. Liz. Good morning, Dr. Liz. How you doing?
Well, good evening. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
You know, it's indeed a pleasure to have you on. I've been looking forward to this interview for a year almost, right? 8 months to be exact, right? So,
Welcome, Dr. Liz. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the village.
When I met you last year, June, you had a profound impact in your conversation with me. And I immediately reached back out. I think Dr. Bryant was there. You were there, right, Dr. Bryant? The same day that we met at the Black Caucus event for the CSA. And so you had a profound impact. And I said to Dr. Bryant, I said to Dr. Bryant that we need to get you on the show. And she's like, hey, she was very excited. So thank you and welcome to the show.
Well, I thank you all for having me here on the Village Show. Yes, it was back in June that we met. It was the week of my birthday that I was being honored by the Black Caucus of the CSA.
You Gemini too?
Yes.
You Gemini?
Yes.
You Gemini, Dr. Liz?
What
Gemini, Dr. Liz?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, Gemini?
I am a Gemini, yes.
What day?
June 9th.
All right.
All right. Big up to Dr. Liz.
We should have a party, a June party.
Listen, I party the whole month. I believe in celebrating my birthday, especially for what I've been going through since 2019. I celebrate every single birthday, and I do it big.
Listen, this year, Roderick, we're having a party. Dr. Liz gonna be there. John's gonna be there. You gonna be there. We a survivor party.
I don't know about Roger.
Why you don't think so? He has to come.
He's gonna try to create. He's gonna try to. Roger gonna try to take over the whole party. He's gonna be the MC, the DJ. He's gonna serve the food. He's gonna do everything.
But you know what?
I'm not feeling any of the three of you right now.
You included me in that, and I didn't say you couldn't come. If you're gonna do all those things, then it lowers the cost for the rest of us. So if you're gonna be the DJ,
Oh my God!
Right ahead.
Yeah, you know why they're saying that, right? Because both of them are Gemini. You know that, right?
Yeah. It's great
Right.
in Gemini.
Yes.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Brother, don't hate the players.
Hate the game. So Dr. Liz, Dr. Brian has a question. Please.
Yeah. So please tell our audience all about yourself. Not only because you're fabulous from June, but please share.
The brief part of the bio, not everything.
Yeah, because I have a long career. I could talk for a long time. But I was an educator for over 27 years. I consider myself to still be an educator because I can't seem to really live in the retirement world. I recently retired back in July.
Congrats.
Well, it wasn't a very happy thing because I am stage 4 colon cancer warrior. And so I've been battling colon cancer since 2019. And so I had to do an early disability retirement due to just, constantly being in treatment. Cancer came back 3 times and I couldn't continue to be a school principal while constantly being in treatment. So I had to make the hard decision to leave the school I loved because I was a founding principal of Mosaic Preparatory Academy in East Harlem, New York in District 4. Mm-hmm. And so when you birth a school, it's like having a child. And so to say that you're walking away from your child and giving it over to someone else, It's like putting your child in foster care. It's just like trusting that the person who's going to take care of your baby, which was my school, is going to give the same love and attention to all of the children the same way that I did for 14 years as a principal. So it was really a hard decision for me to decide to walk away and then do disability retirement. And disability retirement is the worst thing ever, because you don't get a full pension. Even after 27 years, I'm only getting a third of my pension. So that was difficult. But my health is more important than the financial aspects of my life. So it's been almost a year now, and knock on wood, after several months of being back on chemo, I am in remission right now, and praise God for that.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't come back for a fourth time. I'm a bit over this, but unfortunately, I still have a lot of side effects from chemo. People don't tell you that the medicine that cures you also causes you to have other issues in your life.
Yes.
Other medical issues, and so I'm dealing now with those other medical issues that it has brought on.
But you're a warrior, Dr.
Yes,
Liz.
you
You're a warrior.
I'm actually coming from today. Like I do chemo every other Thursday, so today is my chemo day. So yeah, they really don't tell you. I mean, like for me, and I know I did reach out to a couple of people I know, and I sent out the link today. One, like a couple of things, like the vein part, right? The vein part, like you lose weight, you look, what's that word when you look really skinny and you
Anorexic?
No, not anorexic. It's worse than that. All right. And then like your tone in your skin start to change. Like I was like sometimes I hear Dr. Bryant and Dr. Sampson over here, both of them are like, you need to turn on your light. I'm like, my light is on, but the chemo, yeah. Somebody said to me this weekend, John, and Dr. Bryant said to me like, you got blacker. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm doing the chemo, and then the other internal issues, right? So you have like my organs, my kidney is the kidney, the diabetes, all these damn other side effects. So we get that. But I was having a conversation today with somebody, and I was like, you know what? This is why I'm great that I'm having you on. Like, you're still living, right? You're only a dead man can't talk, and we're talking, right? And
yes.
And I'm sure, like one of the conversations you have is, I say to people all the time, well, if I'm dead, this is great because I'm still talking to you. So yeah, I'm glad to know that you are fighting and a fighter for a lot of people. So, but you have used this time to do some things. Like, what is one of those things? I believe you've written a book or two or.
Before I even talk about the book, so one of the things I do is to come on shows like this and talk about my journey, and I do that not because I want to boast about myself, but to share my journey is to open up the conversation about colon cancer.
Yes.
Colon cancer is not with that pretty cancer, right? So no one wants to talk about things that happen, around the butt area. So it's not something that people in the Black and brown community are very comfortable with talking about, but we're the ones that's dying from this disease. Right. And so we need to open up the conversations and make sure that we're talking about it. And we also need to make sure that our government, I'm in New York State, our Governor Hochul, I've been writing to her every single day, asking her to make March Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month officially. It is not in New York, but it is in New Jersey and other states, right? Because we need to make sure that every New Yorker knows that by 8:45, you need to start getting screened for colon cancer. It is killing Black and brown people at an alarming rate. And so I tell my story because I don't want anyone to go through what I'm going through. It's a hard life. During chemo, post chemo, it is a hard life. Roger, you talked about the skin. My skin got very dark. I saw a picture of me last year, a year from this week. This weekend's been a hard week. I was very just sad and depressed this week because pictures pop up on Facebook, right? Of how, your memories. And so I had a lot of pictures pop up of me last year when I was smaller. I was darker. I had chemo acne. So you break out from chemo. It was all over my face and I was embarrassed by it. And I didn't want to do anything, so it was hard. And then I have neuropathy. I've had neuropathy since 2019. I'm finally in physical therapy for that. And that's that nerve damage that doctors are saying that probably will never go away. And that's what chemo does. It breaks down all the healthy cells while it's also killing those bad cells in you, right? So it's really hard for people to move past cancer. It's kind of like stays with you forever because you have all these other side effects that don't leave you. I had a blood clot the day I just had surgery on Saturday, taking out one of my port because it wasn't working, and it caused me to have a blood clot. I've been on blood thinning medicine for 3 months now, and so that's another result of me, going through this whole process of cancer and chemo. So it's caused other issues, and I really don't want to see anybody else go through this. So I'll continue to share my story because I want to make sure that we as a people continue to be healthy.
You
Thank
know, you brought up you brought up a lot of those points, and it's important. And John, Dr. Sampson, Dr. Bryant, one of the things that I want people to know is you are talking about something because now you're saying, hey, I don't think that you ever thought in your life that this is a situation that would have happened to you. And so people need to get past the point of saying that I'm not in this boat. And I think that's what a lot of people are afraid to. And then sometimes, it's too late, right? It's too late. I hear the question about the pension, right? That's why I have to hang out with Dr. Sam over here, right? Because I didn't even hit the 25 years. I hit 24. I was 25 years in teaching, but 24 in the city system, right? So and I didn't do 55, 25 either. Because when that came out, it was like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. So you're young and stupid, young and dumb, right? Young and dumb, not thinking about that. So the story is important, right? The story.
Roderick, I did it, right? So I did 25, 55, right? But unfortunately, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was 48. Right. I'm 52 now. I retired at age 51. Although I had been in the system for 27 years, and been a diligent city employee, I was not entitled to full pension.
Because you didn't reach the age.
So I get disability insurance as well as, disability retirement, which, doesn't add up to enough to pay the bills. But you know what? I'm surviving. I'm here.
You're here. You're beautiful. You are encouraging us. And you see some of the wonderful comments in the chat. So happy for your degree of health in spite of the struggle. And then another one, I'm so encouraged by how you continue to do life instead of laying down to surrender to.
But it wasn't easy though, because when I was diagnosed, I had just finished my doctorate. So I was excited to have my doctorate, my 4th degree, and I was excited for the the possibilities, right, of my career. So I had envisioned myself doing a lot with my career in terms of the education system, in terms of moving up in the Department of Education in New York City. And then here I'm hit with this debilitating disease. And so I had to rethink about how am I going to still do the things that I love in terms of being around children, educating children, sharing my stories of trials to triumphs with children so that they can overcome obstacles also. So that's how the books came about, because Roger talked about my writing. So when I was first diagnosed and had to take a year off the first time, I missed my kids. I was out of work for a year. I was in treatment. And Roger, you're in treatment for hours and not doing anything. Like you're sitting there in a chair, just getting this medicine pumped in you 4 or 5 hours, and you're literally bored. And I'm not that principal that can just be there and not be involved in the school. So I was very hands-on, looking at the reports and noticing that my kids really weren't reading while I was gone, because I can see their reading data. And so I started a YouTube channel, Reading with Dr. Liz, hoping to inspire kids to continue reading. Thank you. However, that didn't garner enough of the kids being involved and enough of the kids reading the way I wanted them to. So I thought I needed to go back and tell them my story, how I went from being a non-reader to overcoming that obstacle with perseverance and grit, and having 4 degrees and opening up my own school. And so that's how the first book came about. I actually have it here with me. That's this one, Little Lizzie Learns to Read. And this is my love letter to my students, basically. Like telling them, you know what? Times are hard for Black and brown kids, right? All the time. We still have a very segregated school system, but anybody and everybody can do well. Yeah. And the key to success is education. And so I want to remind them, although your principal's not there every single day, you're still in my heart. I still love you, and I still want the best for each and every child. And so that first book was really my love letter to the students of Mosaic.
Oh my goodness.
While we're talking about the book, can we hear a little excerpt of it?
You want to hear that one, or do you want to hear the cancer one?
Anyone you want to read.
Okay, so let me talk about the other two books. So, when I went back to school after being in treatment for almost a year, I went back during the pandemic. And so we are a small school in East Harlem, touchy-feely, hugging, kissing kind of, community. But the kids were afraid to now hug and kiss their principal because we're in a pandemic where you can't hug and kiss anyone, right? And so they had not really had exposure to the language of cancer and what you can and can't do for cancer patients.
Right.
And what I did is I researched children's books on cancer. And so I bought a lot of all the books I could find on Amazon. But all those books didn't have characters that looked like me. They're mostly Caucasians, or they were teddy bears. I was like, okay, this is odd for having a sick teddy bear, but okay. So I decided, let me tell my story in the children's book version. So that's how Little Lizzie and the Big Blue Parade came about, is me telling my cancer journey, but as a children's book version. So I'll read a little bit from this book. Lizzie couldn't believe it. I won, she said. It was the first time she had ever beaten her older brother Neil in a game of checkers. All through dinner, Lizzie teased Neil about winning. She felt like she was on top of the world. And when I'm doing school presentations, I ask kids to really pay attention to the illustrations, because in these illustrations, you learn more about authors when they're telling stories about themselves. And see, in most of the books, you'll see that I wear a lot of pink and green, and that's representative of the sorority I'm a part of, I'm an AKA. And my brother, he's an alpha, so you see he has on black and gold throughout the book. But then things changed. Lizzie's tummy started to hurt. She felt sick. Her mom gave her ginger tea, but it didn't help. And those who are West Indian know that, West Indians believe tea solves every single thing in the world.
Wait, hold on. I want to. Empress is still on. Did you hear what she just said? Empress Danielle. Every time you say something wrong, goes, I'm gonna have some ginger tea.
I love ginger tea. It's true.
I don't want to hear all of that.
Yeah, ginger tea.
I do have tea. I'm just, but I know the expectation.
Yep. When I was in chemo, I don't know how many boxes of tea, gift set teas I received during that time. Between that and cases of essential water, my living room was packed with tea and water.
Yes, I had that the first time. The alkaline water to balance out your body.
Over the next few days, Lizzie got worse. She had a fever. Her tummy hurt a lot. Lizzie's mom could always make her feel better when she was sick, but not this time. Lizzie even drank that yucky pink stuff for bellyaches, but nothing helped. And again, paying attention to the illustrations, and you'll see.
Look at the flag.
Flag from where my family's from, at least my mom's side, Dominican Republic. My father was from Trinidad.
Okay, don't be buying all the Caribbean folks out here. Get out of here.
And throughout you will see.
I'm just a hater because I'm Jamaican and I don't see the flag. That's all.
You know what? Please, he's hating no matter what. He not born in June. He hating. He's not. He don't see the flag. He hating. My God.
I'm not gonna continue to read, but I just want to point out some things. Throughout the book, you actually see of my real doctor. This is Dr. Rebecca Reed, who is a GI doctor in Brooklyn and from Maimonides, and she was the one that discovered I had cancer. So they didn't discover I had cancer through a colonoscopy. It's actually on this operating table. They found the huge mass in me is when they realized, because I had been misdiagnosed for months and I became acute and had to have emergency surgery.
Right. Okay.
That's how they discovered the cancer was there.
That's interesting.
And in the last page of the book, I pay homage to some of my friends who have died of colorectal cancer. I was very close friends with Kango Kid. He would come into Mosaic and support us all the time. And he has a foundation, the Mama Luke Foundation, for breast cancer awareness. And Ms. Gaines was one of my paraprofessionals. And she was diagnosed at the same time I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And unfortunately, she died from that stage 4 colon cancer.
Just a side note, Kango Kid, I literally just, with the community board here in Brooklyn, we just sponsored a street co-naming for him.
That's awesome.
So just on the side note, his brother and somebody else in the family came up to Brooklyn to
his son.
It was his son?
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So they came up. Literally we just did it. So I'm glad to see that. I feel good to know that, something like that I lent my name to. he really was doing other things outside of that. So thank you for that. I'm sure the family would love to have heard that as well.
Well, I'm in touch with the family. I send his daughter Sia books all the time. When I launched the cancer book, his wife came to the launch and told her cancer story. I had other people come and tell their cancer stories as either being a spouse, a patient, or a caregiver, right? Because we all go through it in different, like my mom goes through different things as a caregiver. Seeing her daughter sick has been very hard for her. So I had people come and talk about it. And it was a very moving and touching experience. And I was able to sell a lot of books. And what I try to do with the sales of the cancer book is that part of the proceeds, every time I sell any of those cancer books, goes to the Colorectal Cancer Alliance so that we can continue this cancer research around colon cancer.
Beautiful.
I just want to add that Chadwick Boseman, his picture's in the back of the book, as well as, I don't know if you guys know that Craig Melvin, his brother, also died of colon cancer. And he's really.
I don't know who that person is. I do know Chad. I know Chad. I know
Craig Melvin's on
the Today Show on Channel 4. Yeah. And he's really a big part of the Colon Cancer Alliance, and he's doing the Color Guard coming up in March. March 4th is where Blue Day, and he'll be on TV talking about the importance of getting a colonoscopy, the importance of colon cancer research, how it's the second deadliest cancer out there, and it's really prevalent in the Black and Brown community. So not only do we have to make sure we wear pink, but for March, we need to make sure we wear blue because it's really, like I said, it's the second deadliest cancer, and it's really killing us as a people.
Now, I have a friend who actually had colon cancer years ago, and this is when she was in her 20s. Later on, thank God, she was able to give birth to a set of twins. So, it's encouraging to hear your testimony because you're getting through this, and you're gonna continue to go through this and just share the knowledge. So I'm inspired listening to you, and our listeners are encouraged. And they're saying stay strong. So look forward to purchasing your book and reading it to students and sharing it with my nephew in Florida and some others. So this is awesome. Thank you.
I have 3 books out, and they're all available on Amazon as well as my website, which is littlelizzie.org. My 3rd book, which came out in October, is about bullying. Little Lizzie.
Awesome. That is great.
And Dr. Filling Friends. I was bullied in high school. And when I tell students that, they're like, no, you were, because you're a principal. They assume that where you are now, that you didn't go through trials and tribulations growing up. And so all of my books are really about my trials and tribulations. And how did I overcome those trials and tribulations? How do you persevere when things are hard? And providing kids with these tools so that they can get through whatever they're going through. We see a lot of children, like we just saw a little girl in the news who committed suicide because she was bullied in school, right? So I've been doing a lot of school assemblies talking about how do you combat bullying in your school community? How do you become an upstander and not a bystander?
You know what you do with the bully,
Well, that doesn't always work, by the way. Beating on the bully doesn't always work, because the victimization is mental.
It worked for me.
Nah.
I'm an advocate of love and bucket filling.
I'm an advocate of love.
And
love.
Please don't get him started. He's an advocate of wolf ass.
Can
you believe that this guy right here?
John, see, my concern was that because those kind of behaviors come from the home, right? And so when you have a 6-year-old who comes to school and says,
"Wait, Dr. Liz, you see, look at his face." Listen to him.
And
wait,
so
Dr. Liz, hold on.
Behaviors so that they know that in this community it is not acceptable. So if
wait,
you need
hold on. Listen to what you just said,
Dr. Liz.
Listen what Dr.
Liz. You know how Caribbean parents are.
I do know how Caribbean parents are.
It's a cycle that continues.
It's no such thing as a democracy. It is a dictatorship.
It's my way or the highway.
And Dr. Liz, we all know they don't believe in sparing the rod.
But with the new ages, with 20,
hold on, but Dr. Liz, you're with us now. Hold on, Dr. Liz. Now we talked about we started this show talking about the violence, and you are talking about the new age and the new wave.
I heard you guys.
These kids, they don't know what it is.
That's
They don't know what it is. They don't know what it is to be uncomfortable. To be uncomfortable, they may know you may lack this, you may lack that. It's all about. I didn't have the latest stuff. I didn't have all that stuff. It was education. And if I stepped out of bounds, even if I was, a single parent at home, if my mother didn't whoop my behind or my father, or if they weren't there, the community members would whoop your behind to make sure you stayed on the straight. Now, this is what
or
this is what
discipline you, even if it's
and,
got
and, and
physical
even
weapon.
and even the
Yeah.
OGs, the gangsters that have come out that spent 20, 30 years in jail, they come out to this new generation. There is no code of ethics amongst individuals who engage in crime. You couldn't
And
attack
bullying.
them.
And bullying.
And bullying.
Yeah.
You couldn't attack.
Primarily.
You could not attack another gang member while they were walking their kids to school or their mother was. You couldn't do those things. The problem is my father always said, he says, in America, you have too much freedom.
And I do subscribe to that a little bit. I'm not by John, Dr. Liz. I'm not so far by John, and I don't want to go off tangent with what you're saying in terms of like the bullying is.
You're right, Marlene. You're right.
Right. A lot of the stuff, honestly, I'm glad you wrote the book and addressing bullyism in school, because one of the issues that we talk about a lot on this show is that you find that community, society, people, families, schools have a tendency to say, "Oh, they're just kids," and that expression has hurt many individuals. I get them all the time because people know, like, we have the show, so I get like a lot of these negative interaction. I got one last week where the kid interrupted another young man from being with a young lady, where negatively, right? So they were forcing themselves on her, and when he reacted to it, they started to beat him down. Right? Not even trying to find a way to get out of the situation. They'd be like, "Oh, you chat too much, you do this, you do that," right? And so, eventually, that's why I say you don't always get away with it, because eventually they actually beat, because they broadcasted it, and which is another thing that you were talking about with social media and technology, where they broadcasted bullyism, and so people know who did it, and they actually beat his ass. They really got him, and they beat the guys who beat up the kid for doing the despicable act of trying to rape the 16-year-old. But at the same time, sometimes some things are not being a bully, but is recognized as being a bully, because everything is being a bully, and people don't.
So that's one of the things that I do discuss when I go into schools, or whether I do a Zoom. I did a huge Zoom last week, because last week was Respect for All week, and I had about 300 kids on Zoom, and then I went to a friend's school the day after. So one of the things I make sure kids go home and tell their parents is that a one-time incident is not bullying, right? Bullying is that repeated behavior. And so as we're going through my children's book, I also ask them to point out, when they first time they see little Lizzie being something happening to her, is that or is that not bullying by the definition of New York City Department of Education, by the definition of society? And as soon as they see something bad happen to her the very first time, every child, every time I do this workshop, they all say it's bullying. I said, you can't define it yet as bullying, because all you know is that one time, that one day, something happened. It wasn't something right. We're not condoning that, she was hit or pushed or whatever, or mean things were said to her, but it's not bullying until we know whether or not this is something that's been ongoing. And one of the things I also tell people is that when these things were happening to me and also to my cousin, neither one of us spoke up. And so I think we need to teach kids the importance of, sometimes you cannot handle these things by yourself. Sometimes you need to have an advocate, someone can step in and help you and help that other child that's being a bully come to some understanding and help that child. Because a lot of times these bullies, especially in elementary school, they're calling out for help. They don't know how to regulate their emotions, their behaviors. And so those are things that have to be taught in school. And it's important to get their parents on the same page as the schools is, to make sure that these are the behaviors you want to see in school that need to be also practiced in the homes.
And absolutely. you know, I
But you know, no, but it still comes down to
louder.
it still comes down to we can practice all we want to, but it comes down to the level the level in which we want to engage with our children. We do not. This is not. This is not passive resistance all the time. You know, our kids need to understand that this world is tough. It's cold, and if we don't do it, you know who will do it? Those correction officers when they're in those institutions.
Mhm, mhm.
You know, they got to understand that they don't realize it. You know, I remember
Now, you
one
don't think children East Harlem and East New York don't realize how hard life is? You don't
they,
think
how
children
hard. No, no, no.
realize
No,
how hard
no.
life is? You don't think
They,
there was one like I came from one parent household. I was a latchkey kid. She had 3 jobs. I knew how hard life was because I knew that when she got paid, she was only buying shoes that day for one child, and she had 3. And so I had to wait for another paycheck. And I was a baby, so it wasn't the next paycheck. It was a couple paychecks down. So I think they know how hard life is, but also television glorifies what life can be if you do the wrong thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So the problem in this society is that we wait till kids are in middle school to realize it's a problem. The problem didn't start in middle school. The problem didn't start in high school.
oh,
That's where it started.
yeah, yeah. It
That's
started.
where it started. It manifested itself in elementary school, and too often than not, we are ignoring the situation.
Yes.
And then later on, we're like, "Oh my God, the child's a psychopath." Really? Because you know what? He was doing that 10 years ago, and you ignored it.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second, Dr. Liz. I know that
I'm very
there's a
passionate about this topic. I
no,
apologize.
no, 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 no. We're going to continue, but wait. I'm just going to say, right? It's going to be on your time because I know what you told us.
What is coming on right now?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to get that email that says I told you 8 o'clock hard time. So we can
Yeah.
give you about 5 minutes
You
and
know,
you
this
can
thing
continue.
is
There's a
John,
couple of things
I
that
am allowing myself to miss Law and Order because he has me so riled up about this whole.
and that's fine.
We're not done
Because-
yet. We're not done yet.
Hold on.
We're not done yet.
Wait, John. I'm gonna let you continue. I just want to make sure,
I'm okay. It's fine.
right, that Dr. Liz don't come back and say she told us a hard 8 o'clock. Because there are a couple of things that I have as soon as John is done, right, that I want to ask you too. And yet, before I even say anything else, I am so excited. I'm so excited because
Man,
I'll
you
see
got 5 minutes. You taking up?
no, wait. I just want to a comment of no. A comment Althena made right here. I'm bringing it back up. Living with cancer is not easy. It is important to live.
Yes.
And I want to come back to that as we fight about this topic because we're going to fight. So I'm going to let John finish, and then I'm going to fight some more.
Just taking what
Louder.
what Alfina just said. Living with cancer is not easy. It's important to live, right? And you push through it because you want to live.
Right.
You deal with what is uncomfortable because you want to live. Our problem in our community, now let's correlate it to the behavior of our kids in our community. You know, the question is, do they want to live? Not only do they want to live, but how do you want to live?
So,
Are
John,
you wi-
sometimes though, living in disparity, living with cancer, it gets hard, right? After the second diagnosis, I told the doctors that I was done. I was not going through treatment a third time. I was adamant about that, and I had signed documentation that I would no longer take treatment. It was because my family went to Sloan Kettering. I was at Maimonides at the time. My sister decided to do research about this new treatment for colon cancer, and they begged me to give it one more chance. Because I was like, you know what? This is a lot. This is too much. How much can we put on someone's shoulders? Like, think about how much our ancestors have had to go through, right? So at some point, you're like, I'm tired. I'm tired of being the victim. I'm tired of being sick, or I'm tired of the society seeing me as something other than who I am as a person. So I get when people say I'm tired and can't do anymore and can't continue to live in the hardness of life that we all, as Black and brown people, I don't care how much money you have. Life is hard for you no matter what, because every time you go outside, they just
it
go,
is, but you know what? But it's so true what they say. It's true. God doesn't give you more than you can bear, and there's a reason. There's a reason why One, you want to say, God, why do you put me into this? I mean, I've done. Why are you putting me through this? What is it? Why?
And you
The
start to
whole
think about, did I do something, right? I believe in karma. So did I do something in a past life that, for me to be dealing with this a third time? And I've had to actually accept having treatment. Like I speak to a psychologist every week about my feelings around cancer and post cancer and everything else that goes on in my life. Because
but you are the what we take from all of this,
Mm-hmm.
it just shows you God's will and the will that He has instilled in you to deal with what you're dealing with. The way you push through it, the way the sacrifices, the suffering that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and you're here.
Yep.
I made it. I'm making it. I'm living. But then you have these young people in our communities, they go through a little suffering. And like, you know what? Nah, I can't live like this no more. I got to do what I need to do in order to survive. But you ain't been through nothing.
mhm,
Here's my story. It may not, my story about
No,
dealing with health situation and the struggles that I went through, the difficulties, the point where you said, I can't do it no more. But you know what? You did it. And you
She's
will continue to do it because that's God's will, because God instilled in you that strength. There's this book by David Cogan. He's a Navy SEAL. And he tells his story about how he grew up in, a dysfunctional family. His father abused him, abused his mother. He used to get abused in school. He was a heavy guy. So one day he decided to go to the military. He had to drop 80 pounds in order to be able to pass this test. He did it. He went to the military. He decided to become a Navy SEAL. One, two, on the third attempt, he made it. These difficulties. Now he's an ultra marathoner, meaning that he runs 100 miles. And one thing I took from reading his book, and everyone should read his book by David Kogan. Your mind can go. Your body may tell you you can't
do it.
go any longer, but your
Mhm.
mind can take you places where your body never thought it could go.
Yeah.
So
I,
and who controls that mind? That mind is controlled by your will.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I want
Dr. Liz,
I want to add
I'm
on.
ready for you, Dr. Liz.
I want to add on to what you're saying, John. Um, I'm sitting here so inspired by you, by your books, by what it is. Even though you felt one chapter close, but another one was birthed out of that chapter closing, but it didn't close all the way because you're still involved,
mhm,
but just a different way, and you can impact so much more than just your school. So
mhm,
it is so important. And I can't wait to share your information with so many other schools and some of my friends from other states, because where it is you're looking at, okay, this is my baby, but God had bigger plans for you to impact just more than just your baby, but spread on more. So I'm very excited to hear that, and how you just continue to keep going, and like John mentioned, you overcome so many things, so many obstacles, that you are a daily reminder to others that they have nothing to complain about. That in spite of everything, God's got you. He's continued to hold you. And we started the with Isaiah 40 verse 28, going back to that hey, he'll continue to carry you. And that's what he's doing in spite of, and I'm so grateful for your family, for your village, because they push you where, like John was saying, your body was saying no, enough, 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 but your village knew you had so much more to give, so much more to live, and that's what you're going to continue to do, to live and inspire so many. So thank you.
No, thank you so much for your
before you
kind.
answer, I'm going to give you the final word, right? So, because you're gonna close your segment altogether. So I just want to give you the final word um, on that. And when you give your final word, please make sure that people know how to contact you and your website and all of that stuff, right? So I want to conclude this part of the village by saying everything that John is saying, I agree with. Everything you're saying, I agree with, because the pipeline starts in the fourth grade. The pipeline starts in the fourth grade. They build more prisons than ways to help our young people by the fourth grade, because prison is one of the most
Profitable.
lucrative industries out there in the world.
Let me
right?
stand. Let me.
Right? Hold on.
But Roger, you need to stand corrected. You're not building prisons like the way they used to build them back in the day. Second of all, prison is not as lucrative as everyone thinks it is, because we have all these diversions going on. So the numbers of people who are being incarcerated are going down. So it's not
That's fine, but I'm saying that when we talk about it, and we've said that the prison and the school system gets the most money, right? When that creates the most jobs, right? So that is a fact. But I'm gonna, and then we could do that just very quickly. We're fighters. And I'm gonna encourage you to make sure you read that scripture, Isaiah 40. And I don't know your faith. That's not my decision. That's yours. But think about what it's saying, right? Second of all, you and I were diagnosed right around it's the same year, some of the same issues. We're not afraid to talk about it. And it's not our fault. Right? It's not our fault. It's the person. I don't think it's her fault that's online, that's the breast cancer person. Right?
Dina.
It's not the person online who's gonna it's not somebody's fault. It's the situation that we're in, and you're a fighter. I love the fact that you're writing to the kids. Carla, who I didn't get a chance to bring up, is also a writer. Good opportunity for you to connect as well. So with that being said, I'm not taking up any more of Law and Order. You got the floor. You got
So I just
3
want to
minutes.
go back and address John.
I like it.
John is not allowed to interrupt. You have 3 minutes.
I think it's important, and it was said here about the village, right? So I have a huge village. I have my family. I have a lot of siblings. There's 7 of us. I have my mom, who is a fighter herself, right? Because she's not going to let her child die. I have my sorority sisters. I have a large village. I think what's missing in the kids that you're seeing is that mentorship. I had mentors when I wasn't a struggling reader in first grade. I had mentors that said, no, wait a minute, you're going to read. You're not going to be left back. I had people who stood up for me and said, you're going to do better. So I think what's important is that we don't have the same type of mentorship that we had back in the 60s and the 70s, where we had all these organizations coming together for our children.
But Dr. Liz,
You're not allowed to interrupt.
You had your time. It's my time.
Exactly. You should have said everything in your time. Go ahead, Dr. Liz.
Exactly. So I think you're
no
done.
rebutting.
So one of the things it made me think about when you were bringing up books, right, is The Other Wes Moore. So if you ever read the book The Other Wes Moore by not my governor, although I love him, he's a frat brother. He's the governor now of Maryland. He talked about 2 Wes Moores having 2 separate paths. The one that went to prison did not have the mentorship that the one that went to the military had. And how important it is that we get back to our children so that we don't have them knocking us down, when we get older. And we don't have them, as you see, them stealing jewelry constantly and doing all these crazy things that we see in society. There's a lack of mentorship happening in this society right now for our babies. And we as a community need to say, no. I'm going to take at least this one kid and work with you. I'm going to take this one kid and work with you. We have a collective responsibility to do that kind of work, to make sure that these kids stop doing the things that they're doing that's negative. That's what I want to say in terms of that kind of what's happening in our society. John, you can't say anything. It's all about me right now.
And he wants to. He wants to bite his lips.
We're going to have that June party. We're going to bring that flavor. Yes, Roderick, June party.
Althea, let me tell you how you get that book. Okay, so remember I have 3 books and I have dolls. Look at little Lizzie. I have a doll for each book.
Okay.
So you can get any of the little Lizzie books on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Nobles, but you also can get it from my website, which is littlelizzie.org. And my phone number is in my website. You can always call me. I'm also an educational leadership consultant. So I work with aspiring school leaders to help them with their resumes, help them with the interview process. I just help them become get ready to become AP or principal, because I did that role for such a long time. And I want to just thank you so much for having me tonight. It was a pleasure. I really like going back and forth with John. I like that kind of work.
Oh, the Geminis. I like that. We're sided the Gemini. Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing us to interrupt your Law and Order. Hopefully it's a rerun, so you've seen it already. But thank you so much, and God bless you. Let us continue the fight, and God bless.
And I'm going to remind your listeners to wear blue on March 3rd for Go Blue Day. Please, please, please reach out to Governor Hochul of New York State and ask her to make March Colorectal Cancer Awareness officially in New York, because it's not. I have been tweeting at her every day, going on TikTok, letting her know that she needs to do this kind of work.
Hold on. But Dr. Liz, why are you going to Governor Hochul? Why don't you go to your representatives right there?
Oh no, I tagged them too. Oh no, if you follow me on Twitter,
where are you? What Manhattan or Brooklyn? With you?
In Brooklyn.
Where in Brooklyn?
Which one?
I'm in Flatbush. Which is crazy. I knew every politician in Manhattan because I worked in Manhattan with the kids, right? So I do everywhere.
No, just tell me where, because I actually might be one of your representatives.
Okay, so I'm in the Flatbush area in Snyder. I'm all into my business, but
No. If it's Snyder, it's probably me. So you might talk to me off the air.
Yeah,
I'm one of those persons. Well, let's talk about what my job is before you accuse me of not doing my job. All right, but I could be one of those persons that could be.
Daily, Althea, you right, Gemini.
Yes, all the way. June party.
Dr. Liz, we have to go, unfortunately. So thank you so much. Right? God bless you. And we could talk up the air about who your representatives are. Because if you're on Snyder Avenue,
it's Rodney and someone else.
Is who?
Kevin Parker.
Rodney, is that how you say her name?
Okay, so Rodney. Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Yeah, well, whoever it is.
No, we'll talk up the air.
Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month is officially in New York City in March, and I want to see the Empire State Building blue on March 3rd.
All right, so let's talk about it off the air. All right. God bless you. God bless you. Take care. And thank you so much.
Pleasure.
All right. Andre?
Our next guest is ready.
Andre? So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Very good topic, very good convo. I never seen John was so quiet yet. So, World Domino Federation is presenting its first annual domino tournament right here in Brooklyn. If you think you got game, come and show that game. March 17th through 19th. You could win cash and prizes depending on how you perform. It's just mental. We have random mental. We have bring your partner mental or team mental. Please go to the World Domino Federation website at www.worlddominoes, spelled the British way with an ES at the end, .com. Again, World Domino Federation.com. Music by DJ Shug. Sponsored by food. It was sponsored by a number of organizations, including CLS Solution, Heinz Law Firm, MoneyGram. So do come out and support. All right. March 17th through the 19th. Go to the website www.worlddominoes.com. Our next guest. I hope you were listening back there. Jerry, before you even say
Yes, I'm here.
Where is my Bonnie shirt? Where's John's Bonnie shirt? John is a double XL. I am a medium. So that when the Bonnies are coming on the air, John won't have to worry about the Brooklyn Renegades or what's the other one?
For the South Shore Athletic.
No, not the South.
Well, I think we can remedy that.
Yes. So make sure that we have one. Actually, I thought about that as soon as you come on. You're on your cell phone, I see. All right.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Let me send it out there to our Bonnie's group so they know that you're. Did you send it out so that people know to come on and support?
Yes, they did.
No, trust me. I got a text, so they do know.
Oh, you got a text?
So Jerry, welcome back to the show.
Hey, yes.
How's it going out there with them young kids out there playing ball?
Not too bad. I know by when I get on this show that spring is on its way.
Yeah,
So Jerry, for those who don't know or who haven't been listening, Jerry, take a moment and introduce yourself to the villagers.
Sure. So I'm Jerry Katsky, and I'm the treasurer and athletic director of the Bonnie Youth Club. The Bonnie Youth Club has just started its 74th year of providing an academic, athletic, and recreational program for the youth of our community. The organization was originally founded back in 1949 by Al Bonnie Sr. and his two sons, Al Jr. and Joe. Mr. Bonnie had a moving and storage business in Flatbush, basically on Church and Nostrand and New York Avenues. And he decided that he wanted to do something to give back to the community. And what he decided to do was to start a baseball program. We originally started with one team back in 1949. And over the years, we've grown to where we are today, over 300 players, ranging in age from 4 through 21. And on 15 teams, okay? And while baseball has always been our primary activity, we really view our mission as being much broader than just baseball. We really view our mission as using baseball and using sports to produce solid citizens of the community. And our approach is to take players into the young organization at a young age, and over a period of years, not only develop their baseball skills, but their sense of sportsmanship and fair play, and help them in terms of high school and college in both an academic and athletic perspective, and see them graduate from college and become solid citizens of the community. And we're really proud of the fact that many of our players have gone on to become doctors and lawyers and teachers and policemen and firemen and engineers, as well as professional baseball players. Some of our claims to fame, Mark Tatum, who's one of our players from Flatbush, is currently the Deputy Commissioner of the National Basketball Association. C.B. Buckner, also from around Kingston Avenue and Empire Boulevard, is starting his 25th year as a Major League umpire. And Jared Banner is now the Vice President of Player Development for Chicago Cubs. And even more impressively, many of our managers and coaches today are players that came up through the organization, went off to college, graduated, got themselves situated, and have now come back as managers and coaches for the next generation of players. So I personally have been with the organization since 1962 as a player, and 1966 as a manager, and I've been the athletic director since 1972. So we've been around for a while, and we've had a lot of success over the years.
One of the things that I like to have a conversation about with the baseball team. First of all, tell us, what age do you start from with our young people? Tell us what age.
Sure. So we start at age 4, and we have what we call a developmental league or an instructional league for ages 4 to 7. So what we're trying to do there is to develop the players' skills, but more importantly, even than that, is to really cultivate their interest in the game. So that's really the early ages. And then once we get to age 7 and above, we have a more competitive situation where our teams play against other teams from all over Brooklyn, all over the city, and even as far away as other states and upstate and other locations as well. So we start them young, and we've had a number of players who have gone the full length from starting at age 4 in our instructional league and playing on our college team at age 21.
So, you know, it's very. So, tell us the few things. You're being very bashful, and I don't want you to be bashful because I want people to understand that what the Bonnie's organization is trying to do is try to cultivate the athletic component for our young people, and why is it important for them to participate in sports. So you have your upper level teams travel starting at age 9, 10U, they travel. So tell us that even the 9U travels. So 9U, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, uh, when you play amateur sports, it goes by age until you are of an adult age. Then it stops going by age. You say you're an adult. So 9U means that you turn. You must be at least. You must be no older than 9. What is it? March by June 1st, right? Or May 31st, right?
But May 1st.
May 1st. So you must be no older than 9. So even if you might be turning 10, right? That year, but you cannot be no older than 9 by May 1st. And then, so you play in that team. 8U means no, on whatever birthday you are, May 1st. That's the age group that you can play in. How many kids do you in the years that you've been involved? A lot of people in our community want to know college, high school, prep school, scholarships to college, those conversations. Tell us about that because people need to participate and understand. So the major league is hard, right? It's hard. It's 1 in a million. Yeah, it's like winning the lottery to go to major. I mean, there are more people who go to major leagues than win the lottery per year. But the fact of the matter is, it goes higher than that. But scholarships to high school, scholarships to college, opportunity to travel, right, and play baseball. Tell us a little bit about that.
Wait, before
Sure.
you do that, can you elaborate? Is the Bonnies only for boys or is it for boys and girls?
Well, it is for boys and girls. We have a number of girls that play, particularly in the younger age groups.
Mm-hmm.
We currently have a girl who plays on our 10-year-old team, who, if she continues to progress the way she's going, will be able to play high school baseball. She has excellent skills and is really progressing.
Great picture.
But
Great
the
picture.
organization is open to boys and girls in our instructional league, which is the youngest age, 4 to 6. We tend to see more girls than we do as we move up in age. But if a girl wants to play and she wants to learn, it's open to everybody.
Okay.
So getting back to Rudy's question. So obviously, making it to the major leagues is every player's dream, but not fulfilled by very many. So the name of the game really is not so much producing major leaguers. Our view is that the name of the game, the big win, is producing college graduates. So as an organization, some of the things we've accomplished is that every one of our high school students goes on to goes on to college. We currently have about 50 players in college, about half of them on academic and athletic scholarships. We've graduated 150 players from college over the last 15 years. And as I said, many of them have gone on to, very lucrative professional careers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, etc. Okay. And I think the key thing that the organization does is that it teaches real world values.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the kinds of things that players learn in playing in an organization like ours is, number one, is the concept of best effort.
Mm-hmm.
So we really preach that what we're looking for every player to do is put in their best effort. And if their best effort is good enough to win a championship, we're more than able to celebrate. But if their best effort isn't good enough, it's still to win a championship, if they can look themselves in the mirror and say, I gave it my best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all know how important that is once you get out into the real business and professional world. The other is that one of the other things that we really teach is overcoming adversity.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people, when they talk about baseball, what they say is that, if you go up to the plate and you get 3 hits in 10 opportunities, you're considered to be a star. All right. So 7 out of 10 times, you're not successful in getting a hit. And the same thing is true in winning and losing. Everyone loves a winner, but the really important thing is to be able to pick yourself up when things are not going well and get yourself pointed back in the right direction.
Say that again. Say that again. That is so important for kids to hear, for adults to hear, that if you fall down, pick yourself up and get back in the right direction.
Right. So that's, again, one of our major themes. Another theme that's very important is teamwork. One of the things that you hear managers say over and over is that there is no I in team. Okay. Baseball is a team game. Okay. And you win or lose as a team. And, the name of the game is to help your teammates and as a group, to give best efforts to be, successful. And then, as Rudy said, our teams do quite a bit of traveling. Over the years, we have played in 21 different states. We've played in Florida, we've played in Puerto Rico, we've played in Virgin Islands, Dominican Republic, a whole bunch of the Midwest states, as far west as Oklahoma, Arizona. So another part of it is really teaching kids, how to conduct themselves, off the field as young adults, and to really have them gain that kind of experience, for when they get older.
And thank you for that, because parents who are listening and understanding something, you might not be able to travel with your child, but we are a family, right? So as a family, I was impressed with the Bonnies, and I put my 2 children, 2 young ones, on out there with the Bonnies, and also I have there are people who are members of the Bonnies organization who have their children involved. I know that on my son's 10U team, a minimum of, I think, 4 families, Jerry, have a sibling playing. I think 2 girls, maybe 1 or 2 girls play. I know that older siblings came on as well. So at least 4. I could be wrong. You might know more than me. Who have the family have made it and see the opportunity and the growth in the boys and the girls to say, hey, I want to get my children involved. And one of the things that John and I and Dr. Bryant were talking about earlier is getting young people involved and getting them motivated to be part of something that would not allow them to digress in society and do something negative, right? Our previous guest was talking about how she's trying to educate, mentor young people and bring that there. And this is an opportunity for some level of mentorship. Although one critique I would have is to have maybe a weekend or a day session where they do actually have mentors coming out and sitting down, and literally this is part of their practice, so the whole organization could meet former and new members as well. But we do that in terms of the conversation that the coaches have, like you said. So the value system of making the young people become part of a group. One of the things that I look forward to, and I make sure I'm very clear on this, is that if your child is involved in something positive, they'll end up doing something positive. Now, John said that sometimes you just can't change them, right? But I do believe that if you make them part of something, they will become part of something. So this is very important, and thank you for that.
Yeah, and I think that that's why it's so important that, as I said, at the younger age, the 4 to 6 year old age, the real name of the game there is really to cultivate the interest in the game, so that they will take it as something that they want to move forward with and get all of the value out of being part of a team and being part of a a competitive effort where you can go out and give your best. And if it doesn't go well, pick yourself up and try it again. So those are really the major themes that, what we've seen is our players take with them, as they go off to high school and college.
Well,
Jerry, I think one. Okay, I'm sorry.
some of our listeners wrote there are valuable discipline fostered and nurtured by children being a part of a sports team, which is true. And great information by Terrence. And Carla wrote again, these disciplines transfer into other areas of our lives and make them better young people and better adults.
It's true. I mean, sports had a lot to do with my development. It's the camaraderie, it's the discipline, but also sports it breaks barriers too. It opens up the eyes of others who you may never have interacted with, except for playing these sports, and can kill a lot of those stereotypes that exist here in society. And one thing I've always liked about being involved in sports, being involved with the Bonnies is that they get to travel. We have traveling teams, and they get to travel to other states and other countries to see how other people not only play baseball, but how do they live. A lot of these young men and women, they are confined to their neighborhoods and don't realize there's another world outside there. So the Bonnies has always been a great organization. We battled with the Bonnies. Youth service. We had Gil Hodges. But the Bonnies were a fixture, especially down at the parade ground. You could never get them out of there.
Yeah.
We had the Skyhawks. We always had the Skyhawks and the Bonnies. We would share the field.
The Bonnies is local, right? Local here in Brooklyn. We compete. Tell us about some some people can't get out to the. I know you don't want to promote other components, but tell us, what areas. Let's not talk about their names. So what areas do we play with in Brooklyn? So other parents who might not make it to the Bonnies, but part of our thing is to get our young people involved, right? So what are some of the areas in Brooklyn that we play against? It? We want them to come to the Bonnies, right? We do because we're structured, we're great, but other areas in Brooklyn that we play our games.
Sure. So I mean, one of the interesting things is that the landscape has really changed significantly over the last 25 years. 25 years ago there were 15 organizations like the Bonnies, in Brooklyn. Some of which John mentioned, Youth Service, Ty Cobbs, Gil Hodges, Parkville, a whole bunch of organizations all running a similar program to ours. The sad thing is that every one of those organizations pretty much is no longer in existence. We're really the oldest. Savasa and the cadets are really the oldest survivors in Brooklyn.
Cadets, yeah.
But there are, other organizations that are sprouting up. There's an organization called EEP, which is becoming very strong. Dream Chasers is another organization, the Falcons. And these are similar organizations, but they're relatively new. They're new over the last, 5 or 6 years.
Right.
In a lot of cases, we have to travel outside of Brooklyn and even outside of New York City to really get the level of competition that we're really looking for. So, we do on a regular basis play out in Long Island as well as playing in Brooklyn and play in Westchester. And then, as I said, we do travel to other states as well on more extended trips. Okay. So we do try to give the players a full experience. And so that when they go on to college, high school and college, they are prepared to be successful.
One of the things that I enjoy a lot, the kids get to go to a semi-pro or professional stadium, right? So they get to go to a professional stadium when they go to the Brooklyn Cyclones. They get to go to the Staten Island
Yankees.
Ferry Hawks.
yes, the Cherry Hawks. So they get an opportunity to go there and actually go into a physical. They have like that. They have the semblance of being part of something, something great, right? Which to me also helps with their growth, right? And so, what kind of, how do you get them? How do you get these organizations to get so involved? Like, why such a value? Tell us a little bit about that. Like, it's a fight, right? People come back, they do things. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, other organizations, you mean similar to ours, you mean, or
No,
you're talking about
I'm
the
talking about like these semi-pro, the semi-professional teams that
okay.
like the Cyclones, like the Staten Island Cherry Hawks.
Yes, so the the Cyclones, who are a minor league affiliate of the Mets, and the Ferry Hawks, who are an independent organization. I mean, the name of the game for them is to obviously attract, people, and the earlier they can get people on board, I mean, the better off they are. So both the Ferry Hawks and the Cyclones have been very generous in terms of letting us use their stadiums for championship games. Okay, and it is, as Rudy said, it's a great thrill for the kids to be playing on a top quality field like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does reinforce the experience by being able to do that. And thank goodness there are organizations like the Ferry Hawks and the Cyclones that do reach out to organizations like ourselves. I mean, we have gotten minimal, I would say, some support from the Yankees, but maybe not as much as we would like. But certainly the minor league affiliates have really reached out.
My favorite team has not reached out. We need to talk to them about that.
Yeah.
Because the Yankees are my favorite team. I don't.
Hogwash. Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, I'll go to the Mets, and we have also. By the way, the kids have gotten I think at least 2 invitations last year. I could be wrong, but I don't want to say 3, but I know at least 2 invitations to Shea Stadium where they were able to walk on the field and get recognized and able to take pictures as well. So this is. This is a great opportunity for young people to get really involved, and sometimes they get an opportunity to hang out with the professional players and stuff. You had a couple of people who got drafted also in the who are now back. Tell us about some of those people.
Sure. So we've had a number of players that have played in the major leagues. One of our players, Anthony Hewitt, was the #1 pick in the draft of the Philadelphia Phillies back in 2008. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to the majors, but just seeing him drafted in the first round was a thrill. There are also 2 brothers who played for us. Their uncle had played with us, and he had played in the major leagues. Ray Palacios played in the major leagues for about 5 or 6 years with Seattle and Detroit. Okay, and his 2 nephews, Richard Jordan Palacios and Josh Palacios, are both on the lip of playing in the major leagues this year. They played a little bit there last year. Richard Jordan is with Cleveland, and Josh was just traded to the Pirates. We have had a number of players, certainly I'd say about 25 players that have played in the minor leagues, and about 6 or 7 players that have played in the major leagues. Now, again, as I mentioned, that's not necessarily the big win. The big win is getting the guys through college and into responsible jobs. But obviously, it's always great to see one of your players, performing at the highest level.
One of the things the reason why I bring that up. First and foremost, to get even 25 players in a league at the New York level, where most of the players are coming from down south, John. They're like down south. They're Cornhuskers down south because they get to play year round. And to see that a program that really doesn't have the outdoor capabilities until pretty much until April 1st. I know we tried to get outside intermittently during March, right? And then we do inside sometimes in the winter. We really don't get outside and actually have physical practice. And then with the school and with the this, you don't have the opportunities to do things. And so basically, these young athletes really only play through September, from June through September outdoors, right? And to see the level of success that happens, it's important for parents to understand what that means. I like to give parents the numbers, and my number that I give to a parent is this: you graduate about 50, not even 50. You graduate, I think, about 20 to 25 persons per year from the program from high school. Of the 25 people that you graduate, 24 out of 25 will be going to college, either academic scholarship or financial scholarship or both, right? While some others might not, right? But think about that for a second. If your child gets a scholarship to go to school, nowadays with school, the price is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm investing, this is exactly how I explain this to parents. And parents, if you don't understand this, so it costs you $1,000, $1,500 per year to get a child to buying the equipment, paying the fees, whatever the case is. So it costs you about that much per year.
Right. $6,000 for 4
right? If you spend, say you get them involved at 6 years old,
mm-hmm.
that's 12 years. That 10 years, is that 10? 12 years that they're involved.
Right.
You've done $1,500, 12 years. That's a little bit. That's $12,000 or somewhere around there. $12,000, $14,000. Maybe I'm gonna say 15 for argument's sake.
Right.
So you have $15,000 that you have invested in your child to learn a sport, and you've invested $15,000 over 12 years for your child to learn a sport that where in 4 years you might end up paying $500,000 with all of the expenses, the cost of school, the cost of travel, the cost of this.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could save 80 to 90% of that by just investing $15,000. Now, what does that mean, parents? I mean, I'm being honest with you. What does it mean? It means that, you know what? You don't buy them an iPhone. Buy them a refurbished iPhone as opposed to a brand new iPhone. You know, cook some dinner as opposed to buying food. You know, make some sacrifices so that in the long run, your child will have the success, right? Because I don't think there's any, and you can't. I was just having this conversation as well, right? The conversation says like this: if you don't make some level of preparation, you're hoping to win the lottery when the child turns 18. And so we're trying to say, what are some ways that we can help? Everybody banking a scholarship, but you know, everybody doesn't get it, right? But if you see a pathway to scholarship, building that, it can happen. Right? So tell us a little bit. I saw somebody pink in the background. I think no, it's not just for boys, Sherry Ann. You also have some.
So Jerry, I just want to take this moment to just thank you for all you have been doing for not only the Bonnie organizations, but all the other organizations, because the Bonnie and their competitiveness has sparked the best into those other organizations. And you not only excel on the ball field, the Bonnies excel in the classrooms and also in society. So I just want to thank you for your dedication and commitment. And we need more people like you who are willing to take your time and effort to grow.
Thank you. Thank you.
To grow our young men and to grow our young boys into young men who are productive members of society. So I just want to thank you for coming out this evening. Dr. Bryant? Can't hear you, Dr. Bryant. Turn your microphone.
Thank you.
Okay.
I said, and also our young ladies. It's not only young men he mentioned, but it starts preparing them at a very young age to
I
be,
stand corrected, Dr. Brown.
So thank you for that. How can people, any parents out there who are interested in getting involved in the Bonnies, because I know we have a big parent, right next to John. How can people reach out to the Bonnies to be involved and to get
I'm a
their
small
kids?
parent, thank you.
No, I
Small
know
parent.
you're coaching from the sideline. Like, hey, so how can they get involved? How can they participate? How can they be as excited as our parents
Sure.
in the panel?
Well, probably the best thing, well, the two best ways would be, one would be go up on our website, which is bonnieyouth.org. And on our website, there's a means of sending an email to us if you have someone who's interested in playing, or you could directly call the Bonnie Clubhouse. The phone number is on the website as well, 718-941-4698. Or right now, we are at Erasmus High School every Sunday. We have all of our teams practicing there. We will be going outside, hopefully in about 2 or 3 weeks. But for the next 2 weeks, we will be at Erasmus every Sunday from 8:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. So feel free to stop by. We're on the 3rd floor gym, and you can come by, and we can definitely speak with you and get your child involved.
It'll be great to have some of your players come online and just speak to us and speak about their experience, and maybe some
Sure.
who are in college or some that's in high school to come back and speak about the Bonnies. So we would love to have them on. We want to hear from the young people,
Yep.
and bring some energy, to join this. And maybe, who knows, maybe you can have a healthy competition against the parents of the Bonnies. So
Oh, we definitely could arrange that.
yeah, so thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your dedication to our community for so many years, and just motivating people to say, hey, go out, get your kids involved. Not only your kids, but get the whole family involved. Thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
thank you so
Rudy, same time next year, right?
much. Absolutely, absolutely. Just
All right.
put it in as make sure you put it in your schedule to make sure that the Bonnie baseball will be back on next year. And Dr. Brown, I think that's a great idea. A panel of
Yeah,
youth,
and we
maybe.
could. I mean, I know, Rudy, we could talk about it. We definitely could, have some of our players come on and talk about their experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds
that would
good,
be great.
Jerry.
So
Thank
maybe
you.
maybe around April when the season is about to start.
Yeah, and maybe we could join you guys out there, and come out and route for the
Oh,
Bonnies.
yeah. Well, one of the things you could mark down in your calendar, we have our opening day parade and ceremony. It's going to be on Saturday, April 15th.
Okay.
And we start at the Bonnie Clubhouse, which is on Church Avenue and Argyle Road. And then we have a parade through the parade grounds and then over to Prospect Park. And then we have a ceremony in Prospect Park last year. Antonio Reynoso threw out the first ball. Some of you may know Antonio is actually a big baseball fan.
Brooklyn
Yeah,
Borough.
he actually apparently played against us when he was younger. But
So
yeah,
did
if you
John.
guys want to come out, I'll send you guys some invitations to our opening day.
All
We'll
right.
be there. We'll be there, Jerry.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jerry.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Jerry. And
Thank
we'll
And
talk,
again, thanks a
soon.
lot for inviting me, and hopefully we'll see you down the field.
Absolutely.
Right.
God bless. All right.
Thank
Okay, take care.
All right, take care.
Bye.
So, John, it's both of our guests talking about the importance of youth and the youth development, and so this was a great opportunity. This month is Black History Month.
Mhm.
So We have two people who we want to talk about. I guess they're going to make me talk about one, and John is going to talk. I'm going to force John to talk about the next one, whether he wants to or not, because he doesn't like to speak. So, just a real brief component about.
You have to talk because I can't see, brother.
Well, you're going to see very well, John. I'm going to make sure you
No,
can
thank
see.
you. So
Don't
you
worry,
talk about both.
don't worry about that, John. I would never do that to you. We both wear glasses, John. That would be
No, I
embarrassing
can't
both
see
of us.
from here.
That would be embarrassing both of us, John. I don't want to do that.
May Carol Jameson. She was born October 17th, 1956. She's an American engineer, physician, and former NASA astronaut. She became the first black woman to travel into space when she served as a mission specialist aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour in 1992. Carol Jameson joined NASA Astronaut Corps in 1987 and was selected to serve for the STS-47 mission, during which the Endeavour orbited the Earth for nearly 8 days on September 12th through the 20th, 1992. She was born in Alabama, raised in Chicago. Jameson graduated from Stanford University with degrees in chemical engineer as well as African and African American studies. She then earned her medical degree from Cornell University. Jameson, astronaut Jameson, was a doctor for the Peace Corps in Liberia and Sierra Leone from 1983 to 85, and worked as a general practitioner. In pursuit of becoming an astronaut, she applied to NASA. Jameson left NASA in 1993 and founded a technological. Yeah, read it. Put it down, Roger. Down, Roger. Up, Roger.
Technical difficulties, but we're gonna get it.
A technological research company. She later formed a non-for-profit educational foundation, and through the foundation is the principal of the 100-year Starship project funded by DARPA. Jameson also wrote several books for children and appeared on television several times, including 1993 episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. She holds several degrees and was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame and the International Space Hall of Fame.
All right now.
And our next person, who Dr. Bryant is going to read,
I'm not.
okay, Percy L. Julian. Percy L. Julian is known as a soybean chemist for his extraordinary success in developing innovative drugs, industrial chemicals from natural soya products. The firefighting solution he devised, known as bean soup, helped save the lives of thousands of sailors and Naval Army airmen during World War II. His discoveries earned him more than 130 chemical patents and many professional awards. His spirit lives on in dozens of life-saving discoveries, as well as in the halls of Percy L. Julian Junior High School in Oak Park, Illinois. Julian was quoted as saying, "I have had one goal in my life, that of playing some role in making life a little easier for the persons who come after me." This is similar to what Dr. Liz wants, our first guest this evening. That is a similar goal, and that is the goal of many. Before we close, we have a couple seconds. I just want to make sure, remind people on Saturday, February 25th, go to My 11 at 5909 Beverly Road, which is right at the corner of Ralph Avenue. If your child has artwork and want to support that, please do send a message to Tanya.Barry. Tanya spelled the Jamaican way, Tanya, and the Haitian way, and the Guyanese way. Tanya .Barry, spelled the normal way, Barry, at nypd.org. Again, Detective Barry and the partnership with the community and everything else. And also, before we close and I get the final word, praying for all of the families in Syria. 47,000 plus have passed. And so we are praying for those families that will definitely go through some trial of tribulation. So let's start with Dr. Brian first, then we go to Dr. Sampson.
Just wishing our listeners a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there. Like we mentioned, check on each other, live life, and don't take it for granted because each day is a gift. And you see that from our panel tonight, our guest tonight. Enjoy it and bring your village. Have your village support you. So thank you. Thank you. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend.
Dr. Bryant, to my co-host, to Sophia, to Andre, and to my villagers, God bless. Have a great end of the weekend, and we will see you next week.
God bless each and every one of you. Please note that we're on the 1,000 person march to get everyone out there. Please support us on Facebook as we try to spread the word. We need a village. It's a great opportunity to be part of the village. Thank you for listening, sharing, joining, participating on the Village Radio Talk Show. Big up to all of our guests, all of our listeners, all of our villagers. To each and every one of you, where you're watching the Village Radio Talk Show, where we're dedicated to empowering the community to have a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing their dreams at any age, any point, starting from today. If you missed the show, go back and watch it on YouTube, watch it on Facebook, listen to it on TuneIn Radio. God bless you. See you next week.
God bless.
God bless.
Bye.